Hello, folks. What should an ideal MBA aspirant do? We're going for a grand title. What should the ideal person do? So, start with this. Saying. Right? Prepare intensely, goes without saying. Right? So, intensity is super important. What do I mean by this? When you're preparing, you have to be wholly in that. And so, I'm kind of lucky with this, the way my brain works. I have kind of tunnel vision when I'm doing one thing. There are moments where I can do just that thing, and these moments can stretch for a while. And I can do half an hour of just one thing, solving a puzzle, trying out something in math, reading an article, where my brain automatically blocks out other things. It frequently gets me in trouble at home, where I've completely not listened to what other family members have said or asked of me. But it helps. It helps. The intensity comes naturally to me. But when you're preparing, you have to prepare with the idea that you're building brain muscle to be all in on one idea for long stretches of time. And so this is going to be about intensity, this exam taking part. 2 hours is a long time. If you let your mind wander here and there, then you're cooked. And so your diet, your sleep schedule, your rhythms, your digital exposure, your frequency with reels, all of those matter when trying to build this intensity. So in the preparation moments, should be no ambiguity, be all in doing just that one thing, be it reading an article, be it solving something in math, reading a proof, solving an LRDI puzzle. You cannot say, I'll just open this, see this chat, check out that notification, and then come back to this. Your brain can't waltz in and out of ideas. So I cannot stress this enough. Intensity is super important. And so keep that in mind, and it gets built over time, but cultivate this. And so have spurts of 20 minutes where you'll do nothing else, then half an hour, then 40 minutes, then say I'll finish these 11 questions, I'll finish this 2 puzzle, I'll do a passage and an LRDA puzzle without pausing for a second and not letting my mind wander out and come back without doing that. So practice that, it gets built with time. Having said that, have fun. Don't just prepare. And sometimes the emotional investment in this exam can become too high and it can be crippling. You're just in that world, and that world seems to utterly dominate everything else you're doing. And so sportsmen talk about this frequently. Some sportsmen are consumed by their sport, right? And in their 1.0 version, they're all about it. And then they get a 2.0 where they learn to dial out and dial in. And one of my favorite cricketers, Rahul Dravid, you could see the way he was concentrating. You would watch him play and you would get tired. And so it took him a long time to get his first test century. I think it scored something like 12 test 50s. It was not just chance, perhaps a little bit of chance as well. He was so intently focusing on every little element of what he was doing all the time while batting, that by the time he played 3 hours, 4 hours, he was utterly drained. And that started playing a role in terms of long innings and all that. I think he got input from one of the Australians and they said, look, you have to learn to dial out and dial in. So he learned to dial out and dial in, dial out and dial in. And obviously he has got a glorious career, first as a cricketer, then as a coach as well. So you have to learn to have those beautiful moments where you completely switch off cat, do something else and come back. And so that something else should not be the intensity killing thing, should not be the attention span killing thing. Right? I'm going to come back to that. But it's very important to dial out, dial down, not think about this exam all the time. Especially as you go closer, should be more aggressive with your dialing out. Learn from Fundas, don't skip Fundas. Fundas are beautiful, delicious first principles thing. The first guy who solved quadratic equations using minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. How did he come up with this? What is the thought process behind that? I want to know that. And so learn from Fundas. Don't bypass fundamentals. Fundamentals are the bedrock of learning. I'm absolute bore about this. And so I go non-stop on and on and on about fundamentals and first principles. Super crucial. Don't learn a formula. Learn the funda. Don't learn a nugget. Don't learn a gimmicky, shortcutty thing. Think about why that works. Sometimes I go off on stuff like Vedic math only because of that. I don't want to know how a Vedic math shortcut works. I don't want to know how it works. I want to know why it works. Why does this way of just poking number like this Why does it give me the right decimal? If I know the why, I'll remember the house. The house don't matter, the whys matter. And learn from fundamentals all the time. Read a lot. This kind of goes without saying, but it's something that bears repeating. Read a lot. Read with joy. Read with fun. Read when you're happy. Read when you're sad. Read irreverently. Read when you're bored. Read when you're intense. Read when you're clued in. Read when you're dialed out. Doesn't matter, but find ways to read. And then I cannot overstress this. You have to find mechanisms of reading for 45 minutes to an hour every single day. Interspace with days where you read for 2-3 hours. Reading should come utterly naturally to you. It should become a form of entertainment. You should say, look, those 3 articles I've saved up, now I've got half an hour of some fun. It should slowly transition into being that person who is in love with the idea of written text. And written text carries a certain depth. Those of you who write will know this. We have ideas that keep floating around and qualifying around something. Suppose you have a magically good conversation where you're either conversing or speaking or listening, and then the ideas coalesce around a point. And then 3 days later, the idea has disappeared. You pen that down, then it gets fine-tuned. Writing gives a rigor to the thought process. Reading makes us appreciate the rigor writing gives. Second order, not great. Writing is better, but we can't write all the time. So somebody else who spent time constructing an article, good writing especially, not random guff. Better the writing is, the more we come to appreciate the layers that have gone into writing that, and that is super important, which is why reading is the holy grail. You notice a bunch of these are for talking about subtly about attention span. Very important. Fight against the lulling of the attention span. Right? Time spent during CAT prep is very important. It's going to be weighed down or heavily oriented towards quant. Accept that, embrace that. There's more syllabus to cover here than this. There's more learning for quant, whereas there's probably more practice for logical reasoning and more reading for verbal. I've kept aside reading completely out of this. And reading is another pie chart here. You have to read. I'm not calling reading as CAT prep. It would be a huge injustice to the idea of reading. If you're reading merely as a tool for your CAT prep, read for the sake of reading. And that aside, the time taken to prepare for verbal and LRDA is going to be much smaller. This is a reality. It doesn't mean that you're only obsessing about quant. This ratio is fine. Your learning part will have a bias towards quant. Your practice part will be evenly split, or kind of evenly split. Even that will have a bias towards quant, but not that much. Your mocks are even. So this is how it will be. Right? Make sure that these two are really small. Motivational guff and stuff on WhatsApp, FB, YouTube, like this preparation strategy video on YouTube should occupy only this much of your time. And so obviously, like this video, subscribe to what we've got to say, bookmark it, put that bell thing, everything. But those are all, I'm saying all of that for my personal interest. And so it is in your interest that you find some nugget that is useful to you, to give you shape and form and structure. I'm not decrying the role played by this, but if you draw a pie chart of the number of hours you spend preparing, then these two should occupy this much and this much space only. And so we have at an absolute peak as far as the demand and supply of motivational content and short form content in the history of mankind. And the phrase short form content didn't exist 12-15 years ago. Short form content is beautiful. It gives a hit. It makes us wake up. It puts a smile on our face. Maybe has an element of wicked snark in our head. All good. I'm not rubbishing short form content. Short form content takes, sometimes there's genius short form content which grabs ideas in about 12 seconds, which would have otherwise taken 25 minutes to communicate. And so there is power in some of the short form content. Also, continuous doom scrolling of short form content erodes your attention span. So take that genie, put it in the box, enjoy it every now and then. Make sure that you understand that it's a double-edged sword like nothing else. Right? And I'm saying this as someone who's really struggling with dialing down my content consumption. So if any of you have some genius ideas, put that down in comments. I'm willing to listen. I have a son and a daughter, and I have a go at them for obsessing over content. More recently, they've started coming back and saying, we know what you do. Every night you sit Before you sleep, you do 45 minutes of this and that. So you are in no position to give me a gap. Obviously, I have my comeback saying, look, I don't need to worry about my attention span. You need to, and all that, which is true. I don't need to worry about my attention span. You guys need to. I am also trying. I'm not speaking from a position of having cracked this. I have not. But there's way more pressure on you guys to keep that in the bottle, keep the attention, fight against attention span dwindling than it is for people like me. So make sure that your attention span stays high and you fight day and night to keep it high or to expand it, and then fight against this entire movement that shrinks your attention span. Super crucial. Do's and don'ts for Quant, top habits to build. Have a clear prep timeline. This is important. I like timelines on slightly bigger chunks. I cannot work with timelines which say 7 to 8:15 every day. Then if I don't start at 7, I start guilt tripping myself. I start feeling bad about myself. Then I don't read well. But I like the idea of 12 hours per week, 15 hours per week. Then I can come back. But there must be a timeline. You can't just drift. There has to be a timeline for, okay, in this week I'll complete these 3 topics, take 1 mock, finish that. And it's super important. Write it down, pen it down, don't wing it, don't freewheel it. Stick to it. Have tangible achievables every day. I will finish these 5 questions. I will solve 1 puzzle. I will do 1 RC. Come rain or shine. So you have to say there's 1 part of my everyday is anchored and this is not moving away. This I will do. I will take 1 mock per week. If I get -3 in the mock overall because I was dog tired on a Sunday afternoon, but I insisted that I will take this and wasted 2 hours. Take my word for it. It's not waste of 2 hours. It is your way of saying, look, I hung in there. That is important. So your set of this is not negotiable. I will achieve this much. It's very important. Understand that there's a bias towards quant prep time and account for it. Some of you may be doyens in quant. Some of you may be super comfortable with numbers, in which case you won't have that. But the rest, quant occupies more of our mind typically when it comes to CAT preparation. It is with good reason. Keep reading as a fun activity and accept the fact that your preparation is going to be dominated by quant, and keep that in mind. Have non-CAT things to do in life, absolutely crucial. Play, listen to music, walk, exercise, speak to friends. Do whatever works for you. Do several things. Do several things that are not device linked. And so it's become so easy to fall into our own device loops. Fight against that. Play, brilliant. Converse with people, travel, move, walk, all of that. But definitely have non-CAT things to do in life. List of things to do must be followed by a list of things to not do. Do not live, eat and breathe CAT. Do not be consumed in that hyper emotional investment of that one idea, one thing all the time. And when your stakes increase, 2, the pressure increases. 3, every metric starts getting analyzed and become volatile and stressed. So it's fine. Don't live, breathe CAT. Don't quit your job for CAT prep. Sometimes a tough job is misinterpreted as a toxic environment. Not a tough job. You learn a lot in good tough jobs. Right? Sometimes a really bad week is interpreted as a sign from God to say, leave this and chase your MBA dream. MBA dreams are not such obvious dreams. MBA is not your ticket out of everything else that you don't like in your job. There's every chance that your post-MBA job will involve giant parts of gritting through your way. And so if you think some X work environment is tough, there's every chance that your Y work environment after your BA is tougher still. So don't run away from things that you need to grit and go through rather than run away from. The work environment is toxic, and run and go on to another work environment. If you're among the giant group of people in India typically who don't have a big bank balance to bail them out, then a job is precious. A job teaches you wonderful things. A good boss and pleasant employees can just fuck you up. If you're doing economically valuable activity on a day-to-day basis, you will really miss it only when you're not doing that. And if you speak to people who are struggling to find a job, who had a roaring career and then took a hit, for whom health or family reasons made them pull out of a job, the millions of women who had to kind of dial down their career because of family pressures, then you will know how precious a job is, notwithstanding its pressure points. And so don't be foolhardy and quit your job and say, "Ab to main aa raha hu, I am Bangalore, ye kya farak pad raha hai mere ko." Don't do that. Don't worry about selection criteria. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You have to worry about it when you take a decision. And joining an MBA, your chances of getting an MBA are all important things in taking the decision about, hey, am I going to do an MBA or not? Preparing for CAT, especially committing to prepare for CAT, has nothing to do with selection criteria. You said, look, I like this MBA gig, I'm going to prepare for 6 months, jump in and prepare for the 6 months. You will be better off for those 6 months of preparation. I've hardly ever had a student who's prepared really well and has become dumber. Chance hai. Ho hi nahi sakta. They prepare for 6 months, they're way more numerate, articulate, very clear in the way they think, brilliant at finding out-of-box solutions, can handle pressure well, can concentrate for long stretches of time, can have a good laugh. They just balance their whole life out. And so the selection criteria obsession is sometimes very unhealthy. If I do this, undo this, undo that, and I get 99.71, what if I don't get a chance and call from IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, and Kozhikode? Big deal, go to IIM Mumbai, go to Shillong, make a good name for yourself, have a great career. I'm telling you, the people who've got 99.71, who have not gotten called by these colleges, they're very happy. They're very happy. They're very happy that they got 99.71. The disappointment of not having got this call stays there for 2 months. They're generally super confident. One of our students, I think his name is Anbay Deshpande, many years ago, he got 99.67. He came from a middling college, didn't have a brand to go with him prior to CAT. And so I said, look, what calls have you got? I had a call with him. I said, look, sir, I didn't get many calls, sir, but don't worry about me, I'll be fine. I got 99.67. I never thought I had it in me to mix in that group. I do. That's enough for me. I may not even do an MBA, but I'm very happy. I'm telling you, if you get 99.67 and get 0 calls from the top 10 colleges, there's a giant part of you that's going to have a nice contented smile which says, I got 99.67. I'm the top 1/3 of a percent of aspirants trying for this really tough competitive exam. I got this. And that is worth its weight in gold. Don't obsess over selection criteria that you don't have control over and think about your chances, odds, and all of that. All of those matter. They don't matter for your preparation. Extrapolation of that is this: I got X% in this, 12% in this, 14% in that, and 93.4 in this, all kinds of stuff. So how much should I get to get a call from IIM Lucknow? I don't know, nobody knows. Suppose I said 99.8253, what do you do about it? Suppose I said 98.76, what can I do about it? Nothing, zilch. And fight those battles that are meaningful, fight those battles that you can win. These two, not meaningful, not one that you can win. So suppose I give you a number. So give me whatever number you have, and I'll create a beautiful toolkit that says 99.6258. Even CAT cannot calculate 99.6258. I'm a genius, so I can give you that number. 99.6258. That's a magical number you have to score. And so, how does it matter? How will it change your preparation plan? Nothing. So these are variables that come in the way of us doing the real thing. Real thing is jumping in, committing, and preparing and planning. And the rest of it is just humbug. So don't give a crap about variables that you can't control. Don't keep building your profile. Building your profile counts for zilch. Your class 10 mark, class 12 mark, your undergraduation score, your work experience, your CAT score. These 5 matter. Everything else matters in the interview. Let's worry about it after we get the interview. These kind of things of building your profile. I'll work in this place. I'll get an internship. I'll write a few things and get this certificate. Prepare for CAT. Manage your work, life, CAT prep beautifully for 6 months. Give it a shot. Right? That's about it. Which coaching class to choose for CAT preparation? This one's obvious, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. Best wishes for you.